and good afternoon. This is Rich Coleman. I am the host for the Prevention Corner, and we are welcoming everybody to the live stream format that we're now hosting. We're so excited to bring this format to eCam live stream. We have been involved with our public access channels for many years here in the Ann Arbor area. We are excited about what we're going to do with the Prevention Corner as we move forward. My show has been focusing on historically crime prevention, personal safety, information about how everyone can protect themselves. Working in law enforcement for over 32 years and retiring and now coming back part-time, we've gathered tremendous amount of information as well as resources with crime prevention and personal safety. Our show will focus on those initiatives that are important to me as we have worked with our community, and not only with our local community here in Washtenaw County in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but we're also connected with the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan. And we're going to be sharing information from our October 21 conference in just a few moments with some of the speakers who were involved. And it's what's important about what you're going to hear from me and see in this program. Also, as a professional musician, a parent, father of a daughter who is on Broadway, an uncle who is of tremendous musicians and authors, and we're going to be focusing on bringing family into this perspective as well as we work with all of our community entities to talk about and share with you information about prevention and all aspects of prevention and its personal safety. As a professional musician and recording artist, I'll be sharing information as a member of the American Federation of Musicians, the world of theater, supporting the local music scene. And I think one of the things that's important as we navigate through all of these apps with streaming and live stream services, with all of them that are available for consumers, and we're going to be focusing on what's going on with the artists on the other end. And the intellectual property. I think that that's something that's been missing in this conversation with all of these platforms that have been created that are not music oriented. It is a business, and those businesses are not paying artists. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to be sharing information with you from the American Federation of Musicians, a number of groups, as well as legislation looking at how do we help protect musicians. Okay, my name is Rich Coleman, and I serve currently as part-time as the Public Safety Community Coordinator for Pittsfield Township's Department of Public Safety here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and also serve as the Legislative Liaison for the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan. In our Crime Prevention Conference 2021, our theme last year was Learn, Collaborate, Share, and Connect. And I had the opportunity, as I host the blog for our state crime prevention website, is to interview those individuals involved with doing presentations. And I've got 4 of those presenters that we're going to share with you the insight of their specific information that they shared with us, but as well as how can we help our communities be involved with reaping from this amazing information that we heard, but also sharing with you the highlights of what these individuals had to say to us. Our first speaker that I want to share with you is Miss Missy Dodds. She is a teacher who survived a school shooting in Red Lake, Minnesota. We will hear her story and recommendations on school safety and the National Safe and Sound Parents Council and the work that she's involved with this group. This interview is timely with the tragic incident that occurred here in Michigan at the Oxford School. We are all Oxford strong, and we want to make sure that the Oxford community and those who are in Oakland County, all impacted, and those families are all aware that, yes, we are supportive of the healing, of awareness of how to help make sure that these incidents like this never happen again. So what I'd like to do at this time, in her own words, I would like to introduce to you Mrs. Missy Dodd. Okay. And good afternoon. We are here at the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan's 21 conference. We're back again, all together. And we're so excited about not only our conference, but what we're doing this year, but our amazing speakers. This is our first day, and our first speaker was Misty Dodge from Red Lake. Her story today, being a teacher in a school, addressing the issues of school safety, being involved in an active shooter situation in her classroom. We're going to get her to share some of these comments and concerns, not only that we in law enforcement had the opportunity to hear, but what are we sharing with our parents, our school districts, about not only practicing, but putting in measures to keep students and parents and staff safe. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for
what
having
you
me.
shared with us today.
It's an honor.
And I say this from my heart. Of the last 4 or 5 years, we've had speakers that have come in and shared with us the scenarios of being involved in these types of incidents. It's heart and gut wrenching. My heart goes out to you. When I read the bio coming in, I said a prayer for you because I know reliving this experience is just as traumatic as the experience itself.
It is.
And we thank you, we honor you, all of the work that you're doing with reaching out to students and families across the country, as well as our school members and our staff members who unfortunately may not never, and we hope they never experience something like what you've experienced. But share with us what you would like our parents and our school districts to know about school safety in your experience.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for your kind words. I love speaking with law enforcement. Y'all are the true heroes. The first thing I think the biggest thing for me personally was realizing that I had a responsibility to keep the school safe as a parent. Normally we think that falls either on law enforcement, or maybe you think it falls on the principal or the superintendent, but it's actually the entire community's responsibility. So that means that each one of us has a role. As a parent, you have a role to know what your school's plan is if there's a fire, what you should do, where reunification is, how to report something. I mean, I have kids, they're concerned about their friends. What if they come in and tell me? How do I report that to the school so that it can get taken care of? So those are very important topics.
And some of the things that you highlighted that were really, they stayed with me, and it goes into that, all of the training we've done with Alice and all of those various components with preparing our schools. And when you think about recovery, you think about the actual process of who knew, the things that go on with leakage, that terminology. I like that terminology. And share with us what that, when you heard that and the lights went off, what did that mean for you?
Leakage is where most shooters, active violence perpetrators, they're going to leak their plans. That's part of it. That's part of the process. And when I found out in our situation, and it's been in newspaper, so it's not a big secret, that 39 people knew that our shooter had plans. And I know that students took action. They told adults. It was 15 years ago. I don't blame anybody. I still don't to this day. But it was that we did the best we could with what we had at that time. But now with social media, there's even more room for more leakage. And as parents, as teachers, as students, we have a responsibility to report it and let the experts in law enforcement usually deal with it. You know what to do if a student's threatening this. We don't. I knew how to teach math, sort of. Yes. So, but that's what's so important, is that if we see something, we say something, and we do something. And so it is hard to know that many people knew, but at the same time, I wish that we had been more supportive as teachers, as community members, to support those students to share.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we're seeing now with so much social media, one of the sites that I really enjoy getting their information is Common Sense Media.
Yes.
They do a lot of great work
Absolutely.
with pointing out information for parents and for those to look for troubled signs in social media. And we're seeing that in such a huge way now with TikTok and all of these things that are going on with these social media that students not only are trying, but they're engulfed in, I feel bad because they're not liking me and I don't have enough likes.
Right.
It's terrifying to see our young children go through this scenario. And when we look at these active shooter situations and what your experience was, even back in 2005 and where we're at today, it's even more glorified that we as parents, as community members, need to be a part of that chain of notifying a troubled child.
Absolutely, because it truly takes all of us, and it is every, if you see something, say something. I love the Colorado Safe to Speak. I don't, does Michigan, okay, y'all, Michigan
Similar
has,
like that.
Michigan has a plan.
Okay to say.
Okay to say. So
Michigan's
Michigan's okay to say. Use it. Because that is absolutely, I'm jealous of that, as coming from another state. I think that's amazing. Don't be afraid to use it. There's no retaliation, so to speak. The life you save could be your kids. It could either be your kids through suicide, it could be your kids through an act of violence. Speak up. Speak up. Let the professionals.
Well, Missy, on behalf of all of our crime prevention personnel who are here at the conference this week and those who will see this interview and catch up with the things that are going on, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for what you presented to us, your conversation with us coming from your heart, and sharing with all of those students that were in your classroom that are no longer with us. Our heart goes out to you.
Thank you. You're making me cry.
You are in our prayers, so please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us and let us know how we can be of help.
Thank you, God. Thank you so much, and thank you for saying the prayer, because I need it. You're gonna make me cry.
Thank you so much.
Trying not to cry when you were saying that.
This is real. This is all real.
It is. No, I know it is. I can tell. Thank you.
It's very real.
Thank you.
So on behalf of all of us, again, thank you so much. And here at the conference,
did you get my contact information?
I did.
Okay.
And we'll have that information that we can share, but also how important this is for all of our community members to hear this message. On behalf of all of us, again, thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, and God bless you too. Thank you, and thank you for what.
And yes, we are so excited about that presentation, and we've learned so much with all of the training that many of our agencies has had dealing with ALICE training and the interactions with law enforcement and school personnel. And it's more to learn. It's more to be aware of, particularly as we talk about leakage. And it's important to report if you hear something, say something. Here in Michigan, yes, we do have the OK to Say campaign that's sponsored by the Attorney General's office. Our current Attorney General, Dana Nessel, did continue this program. And as you can see here on the screen, we've got the numbers, we've got the web address, we've got information of how to text as well as call. And it's never too late. When students hear something or parents see something that's suspicious or makes you uncomfortable, make sure that you let someone know. Please use these numbers, copy this information down, check with your local schools to talk about with your school personnel about this program. And if you don't have it in place, make sure that you find out how to initiate this program for those schools here in Michigan. Again, OK to Say. It's important for us to have an avenue and vehicles to be able to report something that is suspicious, something that someone is either being cyberbullied or potential acts of violence. Please report that information. Our next speaker that we want to share with you is still in concert with this information, Mr. Chris McKenna, who is the founder of Protect Young Eyes, an internet safety initiative. Chris has provided workshops to students and parents across the country and has testified at a number of the Senate hearings on internet safety and children, focusing on social media. His information that he provided to us just to navigate it is absolutely phenomenal. He was here with us a couple years ago, and so much has changed since his presentation 2 years ago. But it's important for us to, as parents, as community members, and for those who work with youth, to be able to understand where they're at and what they're seeing on these social media sites. His information on the dangers of social media and the impact on minors is important for all of us, particularly our parents who have raised concerns. So now let's go to hear Chris.
You can just look at me. All right.
Hey folks, we are here at the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan Conference for Session 2 for Day 2, which is our first full official day of presentations. And today we're with Chris McKenna with Protect Young Eyes. If you have not been involved with cybersecurity and listening as a parent, as a school, as an educator, but all of us from the faith community for every avenue, we need to learn this information. Chris has a wealth of information that he's provided with our crime prevention practitioners from throughout the state of Michigan who are here today that we're bringing back to our communities. And I'm sure, Chris, you're going to get a lot of requests for more workshops. Here's what I'd like for you to do for us, as we talk with our community members,
Sure.
department heads, school personnel, but most of all parents.
Yep.
You talked specifically to us over this last couple of hours about some things, and the inverted triangle.
Yeah. The inverted responsibility triangle. Right.
Give me a brief of what that means.
That means that we have placed all of the burden of using technology well on those who have the least ability to impact and influence that technology. Meaning, we've said to parents and kids, figure it out. Mm-hmm. Because we have laws that are inadequate, and we have technology organizations with impossible wealth and ability who are not stewarding that in a way which prioritizes the safety and protection of kids. So we've delegated all of the safety and all of the use it well to the kids and to parents to figure it out. And that's just not the right spot. So we've got to flip that around, right? We got to get the base of big tech getting this right. We've got to get laws in place that are up to date, that are not 20 years old, protecting our kids, so that we get that triangle flipped.
And when you talked about developmentally, for us as we kind of did the deep dive today to talk about children, to talk about parents, talk about the way the brain is developing to this much consumption, and some of it's just way too much for a young mind.
Right.
How important is it that we help parents understand the dynamic? You put this powerful tool in their hands and they're not ready for it, the impact that it might have. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we had to go virtual, which meant every student was given a device.
Right.
How scary was that for you and what you do when that happened?
Yeah, so in the very moment that parents needed me the most, COVID prevented me from getting to them the most. And that was tough. And so back to the brain though for just a minute, right? Kids do certain things online, and I want us to understand that that's not always their fault. And what do I mean by that? Do we need consequences when kids do bad things? Yes, consequences are necessary. But when we understand more about the developing brain, then we understand that when good kids make bad choices in apps that are wildly intelligent, we should have empathy instead of judgment for that kid. I think one of the lines I used in the talk is that when I see a kid who is hopelessly hooked on a video game or a kid who can't put TikTok down, to me, that is a perfectly predictable response to a perfectly tuned machine. And that's a brain that doesn't have all the executive functioning to be able to stop, to say, wait, this isn't good for me. They don't have all of those parts of their brain plugged in yet, like you and I do, to go, I should probably put this down. They can't. It's all go and no slow, right?
Yeah.
And so when we understand that that's how their brain is, I just think we approach their choices online with a lot more empathy. And that's important, whether in our professional role or our personal role. If we can go, oh, I get it a little bit better because I get you a little bit better, then I think we're going to build trust with kids and be able to have more opportunity to help them.
Yeah, there were several different highlighted points of this presentation you did for us that stood out for me, and one of the 5 layers of digital protection.
Yeah.
Just briefly go through that,
Sure.
because we're going to put your website at protectyoungeyes.com. We're going to put all that information up so that parents can get access to the website.
Great.
The QR code that they can link up and see when they go to the site to get information and the links. But talk about those layers of protection. What does that mean?
So multiple layers are necessary because digital doorways are everywhere, right? There's a ubiquity to getting online that means that just when we think we've got their phone controlled or our home controlled, then they're in the back of a friend's SUV going somewhere for yogurt, and now there's an iPad that we have no control over.
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts with relationships. We can talk about kind of layers. The most important one is relationships, that our kids know, Rich, beyond any doubt, that no what they experience or see online, that they can land safely and softly with us. That's so critical. Start from a very young age to give them that open door to us from anything that will never freak out when they come to us with a digital issue. So relationship, the next one is location. So we go from relational to locational. Using tech in certain places increases the risk. If I'm alone in my bedroom, that increases the risk that I might do something online I shouldn't. Then we get the home network. That's layer 3, that Wi-Fi layer. The digital device that is most important for our digital parenting is the router.
Yes.
Right? Hug the router. We ignore it, but no, hug the router. Get a good one, and we recommend Griffin. Next is you want to have software that can help because it's not always connected to the router. You could be on data, so get something like Covenant Eyes or Bark or some parental control software. And then after that, are there controls inside of the apps? Can we toggle on restricted mode in YouTube or whatever that might be? Those are important things, right? And here's our technology getting to us anytime, anywhere.
Anytime, anywhere.
And so those layers we build on top of each other from strongest to weakest, but together to form that really great protection between our young people and some of those digital places we don't want them to be.
And speaking of that, because these 3 have been in the news lately based on the whistleblower and Facebook, but Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, the concerns that not only the legislative bodies are looking at, but also what parents need to know about what we're discovering now that these reports have come out about what the companies knew and how important this is. And you recommended for all of us as well as parents, go find the reports. And the Wall Street Journal was the first, New York Times.
200 pages of internal documents, read them. Right.
Yeah.
Don't, if you have different skepticisms or uncertainties about what Ms. Haugen's intentions are, great. Set those aside. Go read it yourself, and then take your child, what you know about him or her, his or her strengths and vulnerabilities, and then put them inside of that body of evidence and look at it. To me, everything, it's a risk-reward sort of situation, right? I know my kid. I know what their vulnerabilities are. If I understand the risks of these applications, then I can look for ways to mitigate harm to my child. If I have a kid who is susceptible to screen time addiction or gaming addiction, then I need to treat that child differently because parents will tell me all the time, this one struggles and this one doesn't, right? So we need to individualize. Why? Based on what I know about the game or the app and what I know about my kid, it's about managing that risk. And I think those internal documents peel back the curtain, peel that onion a little bit more to show us things that we didn't even know was possible inside of these apps when you drop certain kids inside of them.
Yeah, the data analysis is absolutely amazing. And as a crime prevention practitioner for many years, we've looked at behind the scenes, things as we talk to parents in neighborhood watch groups, in schools, in doing presentations, that this is not just a place they go to, but they're collecting data about you. They're sending you other places, and they send you more of what they think you might be interested in. You coined a phrase to me that I thought was probably the most interesting regarding what we dealt with during the pandemic, and that toxic trio.
The toxic trio.
That was important for the aftermath of what happened for those students who had to be on screen time. Talk to us a little bit and explain what that means.
Sure. That goes back to risk. So whenever you have internet access with 3 different things, it creates a risky situation. Those 3 things are bedrooms, darkness, and boredom. Whenever I'm online, and I would argue whether I'm 14 or 40, if I'm online and I have a bedroom, darkness, and boredom, and that's where I'm doing it, it's a locational layer in the layers there that we avoid, and I just think we put ourselves in a risky spot. You can rationalize anything in your bedroom at 11 o'clock at night if you're bored. And that's not just a kid problem. And let's look in the mirror a little bit, and let's just say I probably should be careful there too, right?
And that's the thing, particularly because not only do I study and have to navigate the web for what I do for our department, but it's also the global perspective around everything that I'm seeing. How do I compartmentalize it? How do I put it in a box and put it over here saying, maybe I need to come back to that. So that not only do I understand it, and as we were talking earlier, one of the sites, and I did forward an email to you, of the site called Center for Digital Educational Technology.
I'm going to check that out.
And it is a cybersecurity K through 12, and all of the things that school districts around the country are doing to deal not only with ransomware, but also how do we help our students who we now have to engage them in this virtual world.
Yeah.
We have, as a Crime Prevention Association of Michigan, been so appreciative of your openness, for your background, how you got to where you are today,
Yeah, thank you.
and the things that have been important, and your faith with being part of, as a father and family, how important that is with your global message. Because people will always look at you, he's saying one thing, doing something else, but you're open about everything that's from your past to where you are today. And we are appreciative, not only as we look at the things that we deal with parents who ask, what do you do? When we talked about this a little bit, you got this legislation, but it doesn't work. School resource officers, parents are coming and saying, hey, do something about this, but not my child.
Yeah, yeah.
We're all struggling with that. But this information, what we heard today, not only do we consume it, but the questions and the comments from this session were on point.
Yeah.
With the frustrations and the big picture.
Yeah.
That this is way beyond all of us, and it really comes back to the home. Parents buy these devices.
That's right.
They have them in their homes.
Yeah.
And it's so important for parents to be able to be educated and engaged without, you're threatening me and I can't do this and my child will go blink, and if I take it from him, well, you're paying the bill.
Yeah.
You know, have that engagement, but also have that ability to engage and not be critical, but to be this part about the caring. In closing for us,
Yeah.
you know, the things that your organization, ProtectYoungEyes.com,
Mm-hmm.
how can we reach you? How can parents find out
Sure.
about the resources that you shared with us today?
Yeah.
What are those resources?
Website, obviously, very active on social media. Even though there's things about social media I can't stand, I'm going to use it for good.
Sure.
So visit us at Protect Young Eyes.
Yeah.
We have a newsletter we send out fairly regularly that you can text the word protect, PROTECT, to the number 66866. Really easy, 66866. And that'll automatically, with your email address, enroll you into that newsletter. We also have a resource that we built during the pandemic to get to parents in a more scalable way. We built the Protect app. That's ours. You can find it in the Apple App Store or Google Play. Just search for the Protect app or Protect Young Eyes. And that's a free app to download that has some premium features inside of it that for $4 a month, basically a parent can have everything that we know. It's a pretty sweet deal, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So those are some ways that they can get in touch. We can be brought into communities. I was in California yesterday doing a
Traveling,
talk, right?
man. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And every day there's something new to learn about.
Yeah. So we want to bear that burden for parents to stay up to date. We stay up to date, but if you stay connected, we'll carry that burden for parents, and that's what we want to do. So.
Well, Chris, on behalf of the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan, and all of our members, not only who were here at the conference, but those who will see this in our CPAM blog, we thank you once again for this tremendous amount of information. And we were here 2 years ago in the Traverse City area when you did the presentation. It's the cycle of how much and how fast this is changing is absolutely amazing. But you brought it to us in a way that we can digest it. We can take it back to our communities.
Yeah.
We can take it with our school resource officers and neighborhood watch groups, our faith communities. Those who need to know will know about ProtectYoungEyes.com.
Thank you. Appreciate
Again, thank you so much, my friend. Be well.
Take care.
Yeah. And yes, we'd like to thank Chris again for his amazing information. And one of the things that's a spin-off of that we will be working on with a future show is dealing with internet safety for our business community. The hacking, ransomware, Bitcoin. So many of our seniors and so many people are being impacted by ransomware, and they're asking you to go buy gift cards and do all of these things that are out of the norm, but they don't want you to hang up because they're saying that the police have been notified and they will come and arrest you. That is all untrue. Law enforcement is never involved with anything that these scammers are promoting and scaring particularly vulnerable seniors. And we're going to be focusing on how to help make sure that individuals are aware of how to protect themselves from scam phone calls as well as scam emails and information that you might receive through social media. A lot of our community members, a lot of our seniors who are on Facebook and all of these various social media sites, you have to make sure that you set those settings to privacy. Your information, once it gets out there in the public domain, any and all entities can send you, spam you, give you all kinds of crazy stuff that you just don't want to be falling prey to. So stay tuned for that. That's the next episode of what we're going to be focusing on, dealing with internet safety. Our next speaker that I want to share with you with the interview that I did with her, her name is Mrs. Yvonne or Vani Woodrick, who will share insights into addressing suicide as a mental health condition and working to help change the definition. Vani is going to share with us her family experience and the efforts underway with an organization and a group that she's working with called I Understand Love. Her story is quite fascinating, with a genetic issue that her husband had with his family, that he is also that he fell prey to, and we want to have her share with you not only insights of what she learned and what she experienced, but also her ongoing efforts with her own children, since this is something that is genetic. So let's go now to hear Vani and I Understand Love. And good afternoon, Rich Coleman. We are here for the third presentation here at the 2021 Crime Prevention Conference. Our speaker this afternoon, Mrs. Yvonne Woodrick, and her topic is mental health issues involving suicide. Her message to our crime prevention personnel was so important for a couple of reasons. One, dealing with the family members, but also the personal side of it. But the most important is law enforcement's interaction with the families and the aftermaths of things that are going on and how important it is. And I want to have her talk about that for follow-up when you've dealt with a family, either before or even after, how important your role is in law enforcement and mental health professionals. Yvonne, thank you so much for being here this afternoon.
And everybody calls me Vani.
Vani.
Everybody calls me Vani.
I like that. Your presentation today and the passion that you have after your loss was so important for us. And we're A-type personalities in this room, so there wasn't always a lot of engagement. But trust me, we heard what you had to say. Talk to us about how important that this mission that you're on now for the definition of change, mental health professionals, but the resources for family members and loved ones.
Yeah. You know, it's so important. I mean, I lost my husband 18 years ago to depression, and that's one of my passions, is talking about the illness versus the act and getting to, rather than how somebody dies, we talk about why someone dies. And that's truly one of my passions. And it's so important because once I started sharing and talking and being open about, my husband struggled with anxiety-driven depression. He was fourth generation suicide.
That's incredible.
There were things that we weren't talking about that maybe if we were talking about, would he still be here? I don't know. But that's my passion now for the fifth generation, the sixth generation, is to bring the conversation to the forefront, to normalize, to destigmatize. And I believe by destigmatizing is changing that definition. It's outdated and it's stigmatized. And it is currently one who intentionally kills themselves. I like to think of it as someone that is suffering from a mental health, brain health illness, or pain. Because the CDC states that over 54% of those that die by suicide do not have a diagnosed mental health illness. So there's more than half of people suffering that we're not talking about.
And I think that what's been important for us as we heard your presentation today is to look at from within, how we respond. And that, okay, just deal with it and we got to move on. And it's not that easy. And what's important has been, how do you do follow-up? Your message to us with that engagement, you talked about your family, you talked about your struggles with your son, your daughters, and the response from an officer who interacted with you, how much that meant with your son. Talk to us a little bit about that.
You know, there's such a fear of judgment, right, from all around us, whether it's because of suicide, you don't want to talk about it, you want to deny it because you don't want people to think that you're crazy. And when officers play a part and we are in those moments of trauma, and devastation, denial ourselves, wondering how we got there, surreal. And when we're not offered compassion and understanding, it adds to our grief. It adds to our confusion, because you guys have power, you know, and you have power to make a difference on both sides. So by just offering a little bit of compassion and understanding, I think it could go a long way.
And I think as we talked about during our Q&A session, the resources that are available in Washington County, as I mentioned, we have a public safety millage that we're able to use mental health professionals with our local agencies. It's not forever, but it's been a great start. And I know that other communities have been looking at this concept to see how will this work. And I know with your work, and you're talking with the Michigan Sheriff's Association and Michigan Medicine, you're in all of the right places and presenting and speaking on this issue from your personal experience. What can we do to help motivate and get involved with helping to change that definition?
It's so easy, and it costs nothing. Remove stigmatizing words from our conversation. Take out the word commit. You know, my husband did not commit suicide. Suicide was considered a crime up until 1964. That's where the word commit comes in. Do people commit other illnesses? Do people commit the flu? We all are getting the flu these days, or we're worried about the flu. Do they commit cancer? Do they commit heart disease? No. So let's talk about our brain and our brain health like we do every other part of our body. And by doing that, we're able to talk about the illness rather than the act, which I think in return reduces the stigma and judgment.
So how can people reach you, your website, your work that you're doing in the outreach? Give us your website information.
Yeah, I understand loveheals.org.
And we're going to put that information also in this blog post of how to reach Bonnie and all of the resources that are available that we shared with us today. And you had a booklet. I got one of those booklets as well as I got my patch on because I believe in what you're doing and how important it is. What is the name of that booklet and how can people get access?
Okay, so I have a book that's called I Understand Pain, Love, and Healing After Suicide. That is available on Amazon. And that is currently a resource throughout the entire state of Michigan with 574 Michigan Sheriff's Association advocates, the ones that go into people's homes after a crisis to bring some sort of compassion and understanding.
That's fantastic. We're going to put that information up on the screen, how you can get access to the booklet, the website information and contact information for all of the great work. And I know at some point you'll be doing some training and doing some additional outreach from what you shared with us today. And we look forward to staying in touch with you on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bonnie, thank you again so much on behalf of the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan, all of our members and everyone who was here today, and those who will see the blog post and the information that's being shared about what we learned today from Bonnie and this important mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yes, we are very appreciative of Bonnie's presentation and the insight that she provided on the issues that she has been addressing with her newfound organization, and also the important effort that we want to make sure that we share this information of the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, that 1-800-273-8255, 1-800-273-TALK as the numbers associated with those talk letters. And this is so important if a family is in need or an individual who is in need of assistance and having these notions and concerns about taking one's life, or you know of someone who has been sharing or talking about ending it all, please refer them to this number, call the 911 number. But those resources that are available at the hotline and the lifeline is so critically important. And we wanted to make sure that we shared that with you. Also, our next group that we had at our conference, something that has been important for law enforcement, and working with our community and our youth in the community, and an organization that's called Bridge the Gap. This is based out of the Saginaw Bay County region. This organization that was at our conference to talk with us about the work that they're doing and sharing with their youth, as well as all of the local law enforcement agencies that they're recruiting to come in to be a part of this working with youth and law enforcement. the goal of the program is designed to break down barriers between law enforcement and youth. And there are a number of activities that go on a national perspective. And one in particular that we've done for many years is National Night Out. It's a way not only to break down the barriers of working with youth and law enforcement being involved, but also the importance of law enforcement being able to engage with youth. We know that there has been a lot of concern about these different types of interactions, but from the positive side of things, it's time for us all to look at how and what we do and how can we do it better, and recognizing how do we work with our community to build trust, to build the awareness. That has been my initiative since day one, since I walked in the door, is to work with our neighborhood groups, work with our youth, work with our schools, to provide resources as well as be a listening ear. That is so important for what we need to do. Let's go to this interview with the gentleman from Bridge the Gap to hear their perspective, hear their program, but also the insight of working with youth in their community.
And good morning. We are here at the Crime Prevention Association Mission Conference with our wrap-up day, day number 4, conference and banquets on Tuesday night. But what we're going to talk about today is our workshop that's coming up, talking about this program. And I'm going to have these two gentlemen who are presenting this morning share with us your program title, how we can reach it, but the most important part about the success of what you're doing in your community.
So, my name is Aite Soa, Bridge the Gap, Officer Brandon Murphy. Our website is webridgethegap.net. Our telephone number there is 989-860-1731. I had to think about it for a second. I look at you like, what's the number?
Because one of the things,
You tell me the number.
We never call our own numbers. I
Right.
get that, and I have that sometimes too.
I'm
man.
telling you. Our Bridge the Gap is our mission is building positive relationships between law enforcement and the community. Our goal is to make the areas in the communities a better place to live, work, and play. The concept of Bridge the Gap came about as more of a preventative measure, crime prevention.
Yes.
And that's why we started Bridge the Gap. It was shortly after Officer Murphy got shot that we started Bridge the Gap, just to make that difference and build these relationships between law enforcement and the community. Officer Murphy?
Yeah.
And again, I'm Officer Murphy. I've been an officer for 21 years with the Bay City Department of Public Safety. And as Aite said, I was shot in the line of duty back in 2015. And Aite and I, we know each other from playing basketball. We play in a small little league at the Y. And right after I was shot, he contacted me. And he's a hard person to say no to. He asked me.
He couldn't play basketball anyway.
I beat him all the time. And he, when he called me, well, first he did check on me, but he said, we have to do something, and I have this idea. And the idea was Bridge the Gap. So we had a basketball event that really evolved into what we are doing right now in our community, which is the Great Lakes Bay region. And we are expanding and growing each year. But our emphasis is to find those young men and women, that might be on the fence. Maybe they haven't had any positive police contact, and really facilitate and provide venues and avenues for them to come and meet officers from their area and have fun and see us as we are. We're just humans. So that's been great, and it's been a great ride.
So let me ask you this: with Bridge the Gap, you've got young people coming in from various communities, various ethnic groups. How do you help break down those barriers? Because we have so much now that's being influenced by social media.
Sure.
Okay, and when they ride the wave of social media, they fall into these little pockets and cliques. How do you get them out of that to be able to open up in your Bridge the Gap program?
I think the biggest thing is that we get the officers to step outside of that box. We all have to step outside of that box. The officers, the community, we get out the comfort zone. And I think that will allow us all to come together. Sometimes you got to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's no real expectations. The only true expectation is that you're going to be a good police officer. Other than that, open up, have fun. And when we get these officers to open up with these young kids, it's a world of difference to them. It is a world of difference to them. And we've had so many young kids come to us and say, wow, I would have never talked to him. I would have never talked to that cop. But, you know, even though we're from different backgrounds, guess what? He's real cool. We're cool, and they can get along. And that goes on both sides. That's just not the kids that have to be different. The officers have to be different. There's a lot of work to do on both sides of the fence here.
Yeah.
And so one of our major projects that we are taking on now is we're adding diversity to law enforcement. We sent thus far just about 13 young men and women of a diverse background to the police academy. We fund them and send them to the police academy, and then we get them jobs while they're in the academy and after the academy with different agencies. And so that is something that is truly important to do, is to add diversity to law enforcement as well.
No, and that's powerful, and that's important, because one of the things, as I was sharing with everybody a little bit earlier, my avenue will, in being a professional musician and entertaining thousands of students, they never knew that I was in law enforcement. I would leave the stage off of this huge set of drums and doing this powerful show about lifestyle choices. And then we would go and engage them, and then I'd tell them where I worked and what I did, and they were like, "You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me."
That's all.
You know? And it breaks the barrier.
It does.
Breaks down
to
the barrier.
see that this guy who I would, would normally be in the street in that uniform, because when you wear that uniform, it means something, right? But then when they see you as a normal person doing something fun, they like,
Yeah.
really?
How'd that
It
happen?
takes a
How'd
double
that
take
happen?
at
Yeah,
it. So
how'd that
yeah,
happen?
it is. It is
Yeah.
eye-opening.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and I want to add something really quick. We talked a while ago, and one thing we realized, the first thing that we have to do is to come together. In order to come together, we must come together. And because we provide that avenue, and just with sports and different things, that people really see you as you are. So,
Well, I'm excited about hearing the presentation, but just as a FYI, I'm coming up to see you guys.
Okay.
Wonderful.
I want to come up and see you guys, check your program out, whatever we can do to help. The Crime Prevention Association, I've been involved now for almost 30 years in crime prevention. And the most important part about this catalyst for us is networking. And we share with each other, the other law enforcement personnel from not only here in the state of Michigan, but around the country. And the speakers and the people that we bring in have now a part of our network of information sharing and resources. I want to help be that for you, as well as be the conduit.
That's how we make things
Okay,
better.
be the conduit. Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to this.
Thank you.
We got
Thank
a lot of connection that's going on here from all over, being part of Saginaw and everything else. So, bridge the gap. We are going to hear that, but you're going to hear some more information. We're going to put the website, the link up, how you can reach them, all of the information that's important about this important program. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
thank you.
Be listening. All right, bye-bye now. And yes, thank you so much, the gentleman from Bridge the Gap. In closing, our Crime Prevention Association of Michigan has been in existence for, 35, 40 years now. And this is something for me, being a part of it for as long as I have. I always learn. That's why I love the theme for our conference last year, learning, collaborate, sharing, and connecting. That's essential. This is something that when you get involved in crime prevention, the networking with your peers who are doing like work in the community is so important. Our community policing initiatives that are coming back across the state of Michigan and across the country. For those agencies that are involved, we applaud you. We applaud the effort to be there at the neighborhood level, to be able to be to be the eyes and ears, and encouraging that from our community. And in our conference this year, we had a turnover of officers. We have a new president for the Michigan Crime Prevention Association of Michigan, Rick Smirnoff, who is he was working out of the West Michigan police agencies that's over there on the west side of the state. And soon I will have him on so that we can talk about some of the new initiatives from our crime prevention group and the things that we're looking for with reaching out to the other agencies across the state of Michigan. Here on the east side of Michigan and across the state of Michigan, we're encouraging, as law enforcement and are getting back involved with their communities and being able to do more as the pandemic continues to decline, and that is a big part of everything that we all want, is this pandemic to decline so that we can begin this interactions with each other and get back to some of the normalcy. That's going to be critically important for us all.
but being able to host those community events and host neighborhood watch meetings, be at the school events, is going to be important. And we want to be able to share the Crime Prevention of Michigan resources. For those who are members, we have access to grants. We have access to a number of things in addition to quarterly meetings, workshops, and the resources. But my biggest plus has always been the camaraderie, the networking, being able to reach out to my peers, share with them PowerPoints and information. My goal has always been, don't reinvent the wheel. Others of us have done this. Let us help you. Let us be a part of this. And that's what we want to do with the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan. In our blog posts that's posted on the CPAM website, you will find information on crime prevention, fire safety, internet safety, scams, and fraud. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission's most recently released report, tremendous data, breakdown state by state, so that you can specifically see what's going on in your state. Here in the state of Michigan, the numbers have gone up every year as far as victims of crime, and that crime being fraud, as well as the internet safety issues that go along with scams. So we want everybody to not only understand the dynamics of what these reports are telling us, but if you've been a victim of a fraud or identity theft, we need you to file a police report. That data goes into that national report, and we can't always retrieve the information or funds that may have been exchanged. But I always enjoy getting those calls from residents who have heard for years how not to fall prey to the victimized of email scams, phone calls. We have a number of robocall killers now that our consumers can get access to block the scam phone calls. They're using auto dialers to dial us up 24/7. And it's great that the phone companies and the cell phone companies are now able to block all of those phone calls from coming in. And if you are concerned and not quite sure, contact your local crime prevention officer and ask for details on how to set up your phone and where can you find the resources to understand and logistics of how to set the parameters on your landlines for those who still have a landline, as well as your personal cell phone device. Please make sure that you do not fall prey to any of those scams and fall. The Better Business Bureau has great information, but most of all, with our crime prevention initiatives, we're talking about these resources at a number of variety of ways. We're going to be working very closely with the AARP, the Michigan Dementia Coalition. I had the opportunity to serve as power of attorney for my 95-year-old World War II vet father-in-law. And what an eye-opening experience. And we've done a series of workshops on the initiatives that we experienced dealing with in-home care, the types of scams and fraud that we were facing from a variety of perspectives. We actually pulled a reverse mortgage after extensive and careful research in order to fulfill our commitment to keep Dad at home as long as we possibly could. So in the workshops that we've done, we've talked about the nuances of home care, in-home care, working with those in-home care providers, adult protective services, the efforts with the VA nursing homes and how to apply, as well as making sure that all of those benefits from Medicare, that there are no frauds, there's nothing that can inhibit making sure that quality care is rendered, but also safely. So in closing, we're going to be working again with our youth and children and the Safe Kids Initiative here in Michigan and Washington County, but also sharing information from the national level. And we look forward to ongoing programs that we're going to be sharing on this platform via ECAM and Rich at the Prevention Corner. We look forward to being able to host more of our programs and sharing this insight with you in shows. But most of all, we want to make sure that we provide the resources from the Crime Prevention Association of Michigan. Feel free to contact us here at our website from our speakers, but also the information that we provide at the blog. So we, again, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Rich Coleman. I'm the host for the Prevention Corner, and we are looking forward to sharing more programming with you.